My question was, in schools with small cultural differences, how do you make sixth graders become culturally aware through reading lessons? I chose this question because I am at a school where it is predominantly wealthy white kids. We have a few cultural different students sprinkled throughout this whole school, but not that many. So I really wanted to bring culture to my students. There's many times that we would be talking about something and they had no clue what that was culturally. And it was kind of worrisome for me because eventually they're going to go out into the real world where there's a lot more culture, or they're going to go to a college and they're going to realize there's more than just rich white people. So I wanted to spend some time exploring this topic so that in the future, my future classes, I can teach them more about culture. It's something I've always kind of been wanting to teach them about. Um, Growing up kind of in a wealthier area and going to a school that had a bigger diversity is something that I think every kid should experience. I went to a school where there would be five or six Asians and five or six Indians and a few Native Americans or African Americans or Mexicans in my class. So I had a very cultural, diverse school, and the school I teach in is not at all. So I want to bring that to them. Some of the resources I looked at were different educational websites, a few studies on culture in the classroom, really anything that would help brainstorm some ideas of how to bring culture into the classroom. And some of them that I come up with or that I saw in the resources were bringing a speaker in maybe, or doing a Skype. They have this Skype program where you can Skype to different cultures and learn more about them and maybe make a task out of it for the kids. It's Mystery Skype, I think is what it's called. And they randomly set to an area, a different culture, and they have to learn about that culture and figure out what that culture is. And I think it's a great way for them to learn more. And it's kind of interactive, fun, uses technology, which all kids love. But I think it'd be fun also to have a speaker come in and kind of share their culture or different things about different cultures, maybe a cultural expert. I don't know. But I kind of had the idea of speaker, Skyping, kind of having an interaction with someone of a different culture. Another idea I had was even a culture research project, and they can use what they've learned from the Skype or from the speaker to do this project. Having each student or a group of students assigned to a different culture, and they would spend time researching it, kind of make a genius hour project out of it where they kind of get to pick how they're going to research it, what they're going to share, but just to get them aware of the different cultures, and then they could share it and everyone could learn more. So kind of like jigsawing at the same time. One thing that I really got excited about was I read somewhere that people are using music to explore different cultures. Different cultures have different musical preferences. Another one was poetry. Maybe have students write a poem or write some lyrics about a different culture that they learned about. And I kind of will get back to this, but with the fizzling part, something I said was maybe have noticed was maybe the resources or the timing might become a barrier. And one of my solutions for that, for overcoming it, might be collaborating with other teachers, like the music teacher or the librarian or even the PE teacher, getting in some of the cultural dancing or activities that they do. Kind of collaborating with them and building off of what we're doing in reading so that they can continue it in other places, kind of saving me some time and resources as well. So the music, maybe in music class, they listen to music from different cultures, and they build on that, maybe write their own music, write their own poetry. But I figured that was kind of interactive. The kids might like it. Another thing that I read about was videos. Obviously, I don't want to show hours and hours of videos all day, but maybe little snippets of videos that connect to a lesson or a book that we might read. Reading different books about different cultures or from different cultures might also kind of open their eyes to be aware. A lot of different cultures have traditional stories. So sharing those traditional stories, discussing them, see how they feel about them, what makes them a traditional story, what makes that culture unique because of this story. was another thing that kind of interested me, the books and the traditional stories and sharing them in the reading class and maybe having the students write one, um, or build on one or whatnot. I think a big part about culture is knowing your own culture. So, understanding who you are and what your culture is and how that makes you different. Because I will have some students who are not white. So, them being able to share with um, their peers about their culture and how they're different, and everyone sharing how they're different. Maybe they do something a little bit different than everybody else, and that's just a little bit different in their culture. So kind of getting to the students can create their own book on themselves and their culture. Another thing I was thinking about is a compare and contrast essay or compare and contrast video or a skit or something, comparing two different cultures or comparing your own culture to one that you've been interested in or one that you've researched, or even having you and your partner partnering up and picking two cultures and working together to compare and contrast them, is a great way to see what differences and what similarities every culture has, because that's a big thing. We are different, but we're also similar. We're all living in the same area, but we all have different things, or maybe we're all living in different areas and we have similarities in food or music or poetry or something. We have similarities and we have differences in every culture. So it'd be good for the students to learn more about that. Holidays and events. A lot of cultures have different holidays than us. Kind of maybe celebrating those holidays, like the Chinese New Year's, is celebrating that. Even if it's not one of our holidays, we can still celebrate other cultures' holidays. So, any holidays or special events that happen across the world or in different cultures could be celebrated, and we could have some kind of project to go with it, or each group or person is assigned a different holiday. When their holiday comes up in the year, they have to present on the holiday and have some kind of interactive holiday event with it, or holiday event with it. These are just some really good ideas that kind of were brainstorming, and I kind of wanted to bounce them off coworkers once the school year starts again. I work with two other sixth grade teachers, so it'd be kind of nice to collaborate with them, kind of push down some of those barriers that we might face, like the time, the resources, knowing the own cultures ourselves. So being able to collaborate with other sixth grade teachers would be fantastic. Another barrier that we might run into, and it's a big one, is offending someone. Okay, so different cultures might be offended in different ways. Or students might be offended about learning about different cultures or something. There's going to be someone's going to get offended. And the way that we could overcome that barrier is kind of discussing it with students and parents at the beginning of the year, letting them know that we're going to be exploring different cultures, and if there's a culture or something that they're not comfortable with, or if this is something that they really aren't supportive of, then we can kind of cross that bridge when we get to it. Or maybe I'll have that student do something else while the kids are doing a cultural project, or I don't know. That's kind of one of those barriers that I'm a little worried about, and something I'd probably still have to brainstorm and collaborate with others, because it just seems like that might be a problem, just being offensive or whatnot. While researching all this, kind of got me into more interesting things, like how to maybe I teach ancient world history, and we learn about a lot of cultures, taking those cultures and social studies and reading and combining them in cross curricular way, how to incorporate all of that into one lesson. Maybe what are some good cultures for students to research that kind of like those bigger ones, like I don't know how to really say this without sounding a little offensive myself, but in the United States, what are some major cultures that they're probably going to run into in their future? There's cultures all around the world, but what are some cultures that the students are going to face right now that they should learn more about before they move on? So that's kind of another question that I might have to spend some time researching. So my next steps is really just spending some more time looking at different ways to incorporate to my classroom. Maybe figure out a way to take my social studies cultures and my reading lessons and combining them, and kind of collaborating with teachers once the school year starts. So I don't have any specific things right now. I really like the idea of at the beginning of the year doing a presentation about yourself and what makes you different and unique, kind of also as a get to know you idea, and then building off of that and the culture and how you, oh, you like this kind of music, oh, this culture also shares that musical interest. So just different ways to see how they're similar and different throughout the year. Thank you.